Right now, the crew of the Artemis 2 are the first people in decades to see the largest object on Earth from space. It's your mom.
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy. We've got news and use minus the use because no more write-ins this week anyhow. And should let you know, no news and news use next week. Just right out of the gate here, no news and use. All right.
What are you back? You're back on the 22nd. So yeah, we'll be back for the
Yeah,
24th.
I'm gone Wednesday to Wednesday, so
Okay.
it's just taking over that Friday. We are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt going away Fowler, and say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hello,
Eric,
everybody.
staying here, Goldman.
Well, no, I'm going out of town before you're going out of town.
Well, how long are you going out of town for?
I'm going out of town for 5 days for CinemaCon.
I'm going out of town for 7 days.
Whatever.
Yeah. So I win. There you go.
That's true.
Whoever leaves the U.S. the longest wins.
Well, I'm not leaving the U.S. at all, so.
Well, then I double win.
I guess these days you do for leaving the U.S.
All right. Well, since we only have the news, let's get into it. Eric, what do you want to start with from our sampler platter here, from our little
our Game of Thrones actors join new things.
Our poo-poo platter. One which I will watch and one which I won't. It has nothing to do with the actors involved, but just because I don't watch Wednesday. Well, let's bring that up since we already talked about Wednesday casting a few weeks back when it was like Chris Sarandon and Ava Green and Winona Ryder and like cool 80s people plus Ava Green. Now we've got Lena Headey is joining.
I know.
Headey. I think it's Headey. I actually think it's Headey, right?
You might be right, but it's not how I want to say it. But
it
sure.
is not how I want to say it. Absolutely. Cersei is joining Wednesday season 3. She was in some Netflix Western, right? Just recently, I think.
Yes, she was, I believe. And she it was Andrew McCarthy, and I forget the third person who's not an 80s.
Yeah, so Andrew McCarthy, which is interesting. Again, if you're just going for like 80s non-goths, I guess, just 80s in general. But the third person is actually James Lance, who's the reporter from Ted Lasso.
Okay. Yes, okay.
You know, the one who like stops being a reporter to like follow the team around and write a book or something, right? Okay. So he's joining as well. So they're all going to be on a season of Wednesday that I won't watch. Maybe Eric will.
And I'll watch it, even though I won't think it's very good, probably, because I never think Wednesday's that good. But I like, they keep casting actors I like. I like the aesthetics. I like Jenna Ortega as Wednesday. I just wish I thought the show itself was more interesting. But they sure can get all those people to be in it. With these 3 people we should mention are technically being called guest stars versus everyone else who I think is either a series regular or recurring. But these people might just be one episode appearances. But certainly their casting and the announcement of it makes it sound like they'll have a prominent guest appearance when they do show up.
I want to bring this up. Do you know what AO3 is? Archive of Our Own, the fanfic site.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Archive of Our Own 3.0. So AO3 is for short for those who don't know. And they release yearly their top 100 ships. So it's like the top 100 couplings. Now, some of them are actual couples from the project. So it's like a real couple on the TV show or movie or whatever.
Right.
And some are like ones they want to get together.
Mm-hmm.
Like the 2 guys from Heated Rivalry are a top ship, but they are actually a couple. So
that's what the show is actually about, their relationship.
So they're not forcing them together. So it's interesting because sometimes they're like real couples, and sometimes they're just like, we want these 2 to get together so badly, we're going to write about it. My point is a few Wednesday couples are on there.
Sure.
And I couldn't, aside from Wednesday, I don't remember any character's name. So who knows? But also curiously, so it's funny because we were talking about the Harry Potter series coming out, and maybe the contingent of people who refuse to watch it because of J.K. Rowling, or just people saying like, who wants this? Because there's already a version, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like who wants a new version? There are still so many goddamn Harry Potter ships on this top 100 list.
Well,
Like it's still so big. It's still so prominent.
Yeah, well, that's because it's
And,
a very...
and I feel like it's going to open up. There'll be new ones because of the new show, or at least
the
new
actors,
versions, right?
and there'll be different chemistry people will find. Yes, absolutely. Wednesday's roommate Enid, that's going to be the big one, Matt. Wednesday and Enid are like the fan,
I would assume it was like, yeah, because wasn't she like the sort of like the grumpy sunshine, right? Which is like
she's
the dark, and she's the pink bubbly one.
Yes. So people want.
And then also hanging in there at number 69, nice. Destiel, Dean and Castiel, still going strong. So many years after Supernatural ended. So love to see it. Love to see it.
I will say, without giving any details, that I have seen the episode of The Boys that has both Jared Padalecki and Misha Collins in it, and it was entertaining.
And Jared Padalecki and Misha. I was gonna say like with Jensen Ackles, I was like, it's funny if they did another scene between those two actors on a different show, and he still refuses to be on set with them for the scene.
Wait, what?
He wasn't on set for the scene when Castiel was saying "I love you" in the penultimate Supernatural episode.
Oh, was that because of a COVID thing?
I don't know. I think it's because his Jensen Ackles was just always uncomfortable with the Destiel shit.
I don't think that.
I think it kind of was. I think it kind of was. I'm not saying he's like a full blown awful person. I'm just saying,
I don't know about that. I think he would.
I mean, I know there was a lot of COVID shit too. It also like severely hamstrung the finale as well.
Absolutely.
All the things they wanted to do on the Supernatural.
They were supposed to have like basically like every a shitload of returning people they couldn't do because of COVID restrictions.
There was one other ship I was going to talk about. Oh, a lot of DC ships, not so many Marvel ships, but let me tell you about all the Batman stuff, because there's Clark and Bruce, there's Dick and Bruce, there's Dick and Jason. So the Robins, like they got all so many Batman combos going on.
There you go.
Let's talk about the Dink.
The Dink.
This is what I want to bring up. So Alien Earth season 2, we know it's coming. Peter Dinklage has been cast in a role. No details about that role yet, because we don't know any details about season 2 yet, but he is going to be on Alien Earth season 2, which is awesome. I will use this opportunity again to recommend all the new Dexter seasons from, what was it, like New Blood, and what was the new one, Resurrection. He was phenomenal on Resurrection. It was a great fun series. So again, if you really like the old Dexter, which many people say is like seasons 1 through 4, I would watch those new Dexters. Anyway, I want to bring up too, Eric, that Deadline's reporting of this. So the trades have to fill their article. Like literally, the news is Peter Dinklage joining this season.
Yes.
We have no information. That's the story.
But they want to keep people on the page, so they're
going to turn it into 10 thick paragraphs, because then they have to say like Alien Earth debuted in this year and is from Noah Hawley and it has all these people in it, and it's brought to you by this production house, and they have to give you all this information. Yes. People complain so much about like the stories on recipe pages about traveling to Tuscany for the first time, all the things that the preamble before you get to the actual recipe, which is like miles down at the end of the page. Nobody ever talks about like the fluff in these fucking entertainment news stories. Anyway, this is how much fluff there is, Eric. This is from Deadline. This marks Game of Thrones alum's return to FX, where he had major recurring role on Nip Tuck and recently starred on season 1 of The Lowdown. Like, they're not just saying like Peter Dinklage has been busy on TV since Game of Thrones. He was in Dexter. He was in this. They actually have to pinpoint a return to specifically FX and bring up his recurring role on fucking Nip Tuck from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it would be one thing if this were like, an actual like a Ryan Murphy show or something. But yeah,
no, exactly. That's a good point. Like if he was returning to work with the same creator of something.
Right. But yes, love Peter Dinklage. We're fans of Alien Earth, so I dig this casting. I didn't put down as a story because I figured until they have the final person, it wasn't worth it. But I will just mention as a tangent that Sydney Chandler being one of the finalists to play Maxima in the Superman sequel.
Yes, and the only other recognizable name there was Adira Ajorna from Andor
Yes.
was one of them. I don't know the other two.
The I didn't know the person, but the recognizable name was Grace Van Patten because I was like, there's more Van Pattens. And she is Timothy. She's the Master Ninja's daughter, Grace Van Patten. So the legacy, the dynasty of the Van Pattens
Of the Van Pattens. Okay. Eric, I want you to talk about the She-Hulk story, and then I want to add to it.
Oh yeah, so just that Brad Winterbaum, who's like, the head of Marvel TV, was doing an interview. What was the podcast he was on? It's some broy podcast, right? The Escape Pod podcast. He was on this podcast, and they were talking about She-Hulk, and when they were saying like, when they were like, well, there's no chance in hell there'd ever be more She-Hulk, basically speaking, like, because like everyone hated it. He noted, actually, it was one of our best performing shows, and he wasn't discounting, I put in air quotes, the fans who didn't like it, and we know
okay,
exactly
that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
and again, like this whole, it's like everyone's talking around the actual thing here.
Right.
The elephant in the room is the toxic male fandom, which the She-Hulk show directly addresses.
Which that just made it matter.
Yeah, of course. But like the whole thing was, so the article that I read was basically like, so he says it's one of our best performing shows. It hit the general audience. There was a mismatch between general audience score response and, as you said, fan response. And the podcast host at no point says, Brad, I wonder why that is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody talks about what the actual story is here.
Yeah.
So again, Rotten Tomatoes has an 80% critic rating, right? 32% rating from the audience. No one says, might that be because it was review bombed? Right? Like,
right.
Why won't they say it?
Right. I know.
They're not making more She-Hulk. Why not just say it? Like,
yeah, I know. Because they're dancing around the fact that, like, oh, there's a certain sect of the hardcore fandom, as they say, who are also awful, toxic people who only want one thing and one thing done.
I don't think that, but again, we're broken records here. They shouldn't get the label fandom.
I know. Because
why do they get that term? Why do they get to be called fans?
I know. The amount to this day, I mean, She-Hulk, aired like 3 years ago. And the fact that I can still see people posting that twerking still and be like, this is where Marvel fell off. This was the end of the road. And be like, this was a mid-credit scene on a comedy series. that was like this is you can hate that scene, you can hate the show, but it's so strange that they cannot, like, it has to be embellic of something. It has to like represent something and not be like, I didn't like this show, or this show wasn't for me. It has to be like, yeah, how dare they make something that wasn't for me? And that's, we've talked about this before. It's like the anger that this wasn't hyper focused at what they want and what they want only. The audacity that they made something that wasn't just for them. That's what it really always feels like.
I want to. I follow an Instagram account, and it's a young woman who plays. I think she's playing Call of Duty. Forgive me, I'm not up on what the actual FPS is she's playing, but the Instagram account, and it's very rage baity because it's like, and it draws me in. She'll sign on when they see there's a girl playing. All she gets are the guys, through her headset, calling her a bitch and much worse, and saying the most awful things imaginable to her. But the flip side of that is that she's so good, she kills all of them, making them even madder. Like, she's so much better than all of them that they, it's like watching the trash, quote unquote, fans get their comeuppance. So anytime a studio or someone wants to capitulate to these quote unquote fans and be like, we need to not make them angry, we need to appease them, we need to not be woke, or we need not to diversify our cast, or have black hobbits or whatever. I want those people to be forced on camera to watch the comments that this person gets, right?
Right.
Just showing up in a lobby to play a fucking game and say, these are the people you are trying to, these are the dicks you're trying to suck. You know what I mean? Like, this is who you are siding with. The worst of us. And have them explain themselves. That's what I want.
And it's funny because this comes a couple weeks after Wonder Man got this big surprise renewal, you know, because our understanding, you know, was that was one of their lowest performing shows, and it just also felt like this strange show that the, you know, was a holdover from another era, and it got renewed. And we talked about how A, we don't really know all their metrics, and B, yes, it probably had to be one of the cheaper shows, even though it wasn't cheap. But you know, but that, and on the flip side, I understand that She-Hulk was one of the most expensive shows because the main character was CGI, and they didn't have her CGI all the time, but they did a lot, and so like there was an implicit, you know, huge expense on that show. So when you be like, okay, well, if it's one of the best performing shows, why haven't they renewed it? And you can say, well, it still costs too much, but I hate that there's also the dot 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 and we don't want to deal with those assholes. Like, I hate that that also feels like it's in the mix of why we're not hearing more about that character if that show was still one of their best performing shows.
Right. Why are they winning? Why do they have a... So anyway, if you want to follow on Instagram, it's Saski, Saski. That's her name, not her handle. I think it's like a lot of K's and I's. Mm-hmm. But anyway, you can look it up. If you want to be repulsed but also vindicated in the same like 1 minute video. Okay. Fucking fans. How could I be toxic if I love something? Says Richie.
right.
This is a fun bit of this is a fun, you know, coming off of the Catherine O'Hara death, which the studio season 2 will address, obviously, because she was a recurring but also important character for studio season 1. Mm-hmm. I can't remember her character's name, but she was a producer who, anyway.
Well, so, no, she was a studio head because
she was a head who got demoted to being a backseat producer, which she liked so much more.
Because Amy Pascal was recently asked because she was one of the obvious influences as the former head of Sony who now produces the Spider-Man movies. Yeah. There was not a 1-to-1, but it was a pretty close corollary there.
But so we're already sort of entering the studio season 2, which we know will be pretty great because of the people involved. But on a sad note, because they're going to have to address this. We don't know exactly how, but it's not going to be like she's gone and they're not going to mention her again. They will bring it up. But we know something else about season 2, which is that it's going to play around with the Madonna biopic that got canceled back in 2023 that was supposed to star Julia Garner as Madonna, Julia Garner from Weapons and The Wolfman and Ozark. And was Madonna supposed to direct it, Eric? Or is that reading it wrong?
I don't know if she was going to direct it, but she was directly involved. So she was like a producer, and you know, I can't remember if she was actually going to direct the movie though.
So Madonna, who hasn't been on a TV show since like 2002 and a movie since like 2003, is coming back to acting for a 2-episode arc on Studio Season 2, all about trying to get the biopic made. Or it's either going to be being made in the universe, right? Like it's actually real and wasn't canceled in this universe,
right? Or
she's going to be trying to get it made in the universe because it was canceled. It's not clear exactly, but the point is they're going to do it. So
yeah, and it's a fun thing. I mean, it's funny. So that Madonna's actually posted a bunch of social videos with her and Julia Garner. I believe Donald Glover has been spotted filming with them as well. And it's a fun idea also because I was thinking about this. It's a fun idea because it will be accessible for people who don't know the real life connection, which is to say, in the world of the studio, it makes perfect sense. Like, oh, we're making a Madonna biopic and Julia Garner is starring. That just works in the studio because I was thinking about a correlation, which is in the Flash movie, a movie that I still defend and still really like. But I was thinking about how the Nicolas Cage cameo meant nothing except for the super geeks. Like, why is Nicolas Cage in a Superman suit? You know?
Oh yeah, and like, have long hair, like
yes,
he was
and fighting a spider,
Con Air hair.
Yeah. Like it had no context except for the uber geeks who know 25 plus years of movies that didn't happen history that aren't going to be explained in that silent cameo. Versus on the studio where you don't have to know they almost really made this movie. It's an added layer, you know.
Is John Peters still alive?
Yeah.
Did he get to see the spider?
I mean, I'm sure. Sure he got to see the spider. He got to see Bradley Cooper get an Oscar nomination playing him. He's gotten to see.
Okay, I was just saying, like, but did was it? Am I wrong in thinking that he was also behind Wild Wild West, and that's why there's a fucking spider in that?
No, yeah, that was the punchline to Kevin Smith's story.
That's where I heard it. Yeah, okay, I was like, okay.
Kevin Smith saying that the weird insistence that John Peters had that there be a giant spider in the Superman movie that didn't happen, and then when he went to see Wild Wild West, produced by John Peters, and the fucking giant
and the
spider
funny
show.
thing is to get that spider at the end of Wild Wild West, they had to make like Professor Lovelace, the villain from the movie who was from the TV show, have a spider theme.
Yes.
Like they had to like he's a spider guy, like just so that it's like not completely out of nowhere. Which, to be fair, sure, do that because if it was out of nowhere, it would have made it even stranger movie. Okay, I think that's our. Oh no, we have one more news story here. I'm not gonna fucking Lord of the Rings this one. Okay, so you wrote Disney trying to figure out how to make Avatar 4 and 5 cheaper and shorter. Well, I understand that. Why are they still gonna make 5? I mean, Disney would probably want 5 because they make money. But like, can't we? I mean, I would like another one because there's not the closure I wanted in Fire and Ash, and that's just as a very casual Avatar fan here. Right?
Sure.
I still want closure. So an Avatar 4, sure. I also don't want to lock James Cameron in this Avatar prison if he doesn't want to be in it anymore. So yeah, but like, do we need a 5, Eric? I know that was sort of the plan.
I mean, they've written through 5, and I think the problem is, Matt, I mean, I guess anything can change. Anything can pivot. The Fantastic Beasts series had to kind of turn the third movie into a pseudo ending it was not going to originally be. But I do think that because they've mapped out 4 and 5, he's revealed already it would go to Earth, that there's this sort of grand plan for 4 and 5. And this article said there'd be space battles and like shit, because I think the big complaint about 3, right, was that it was too much like 2. And that's because they literally took the script for 2 and split into 2 movies. But that 4 and 5 are radically different in a way that 3 wasn't. So I think if they do 4, Matt, they're just going to do 4 and 5. And they'll do it like they did 2 and 3, which is they just shot them all together, right? Just be like one big thing. But yeah, this is a big article in the Wrap, basically a state of the union for Avatar and the bizarreness of saying a movie that weighed 1.5 billion. How can you call that a disappointment? It's still like in the like 20 or 25 biggest movies ever. But it's, a disappointment because the previous ones made 2 billion. I don't see them not making these movies, and they'll have to solve these questions about what can be done to make it more efficient. They'll try to get Cameron to make the runtime shorter. That's maybe a battle that they will lose.
Right. Especially since he literally just split 2 and 3, like one script into 2 movies.
And they were still incredibly long movies.
They were still 3-hour movies.
Yeah.
One thing I do know, and I think we can take great solace in this, Eric, is it's not up to us to figure out.
It's not up to us.
We don't have to do this. They can solve it. Make them animated, whatever. Like that's not saying that makes the production time any shorter, but it definitely will make them cheaper in a certain way.
And they also said in this article that they shot when they were making 2 and 3. They shot material for the 4th film, and there's about 22% of the 4th film. And I think that, and there's rumors that because the 4th film has the kids the same age, and then there's a time jump. So they shot stuff with them.
That's smart.
Yeah. So they shot stuff, and they think they might have shot Michelle Yeoh, who was reported on. And so there's a bunch of stuff. If they never made 4 and 5, then there'd be this like 22% of a 4th movie material that's sitting somewhere. And they talked about, they talked about how the insane way these movies are made, where they basically make them twice because they make them just with the mocap, then they have to do them again where the mocap's going to be inserted and all this stuff.
So before somebody writes in and says, but Matt, the Avatar movies are already animated films. Think of what Eric just said, which is
right.
Like they're filming twice instead of just animating once.
I mean, and the funny thing being that Jack Champion, Spider, being the hardest working actor on those movies because he has to be there for both versions. So he's like acting along in the mocap stuff, and then yeah. So he's like he had to do like everything twice along the way.
Plus, the poor guy got stabbed in the fucking mouth,
and he's almost naked the whole time.
and he's uncomfortably he makes me uncomfortable the whole time, like wearing George of the Jungle costumes when he doesn't have to.
But I do think ultimately, I think they will figure this out. I think it would be crazy to be like, because even if you say that the third one, like with the budget and the marketing, that was $500 million. It still made a billion, after that, a billion and a half. So I can't see them not doing it, and maybe they can figure out, something to streamline it. But
People usually say it's a safe hit, right? If your movie makes 3 times its budget,
right.
which is sometimes not impressive. If your movie is $150 million and you make 400, 500 million, people will say, well, that's a disappointment. You've still made 3 times your budget. So if doubling your budget is usually not that great because of advertising and such.
Yes.
And marketing.
Yeah, and marketing and the split with the theaters. So that's why it's got to be more. Yeah, that's the 3 times.
Avatar 3 still made 3 times its budget. Even though its budget was 500 million, it still tripled it. So whatever.
Yeah.
All right. That's our news, and no write-ins this week. So people were
writing, people
keeping it to themselves. So yeah, if you have anything to write about, let's see, what did we do? Close Encounters. We've got Minority Report coming up. And then we'll have you just go chronologically. We'll have War of the Worlds after that. So if anything you guys want to say about those, either after we've talked about them or ahead of the podcast, let us know. Write us at weenjoypodcast@gmail.com. Rate us on Apple Podcasts, a 5-star rating, please. And Eric, do you have a recommendation?
First of all, I just want to say, I'm very curious what people's thoughts are on AI. 25
oh, that's right, AI.
Yeah. Anyway, but let us know what you think.
I knew I was missing one in there. Okay.
I have 2 recommendations, especially because we're not going to be here next week doing one of these. So I'll do a movie opening this weekend and a movie opening next weekend. This weekend is Faces of Death, which is a fascinating movie. If you know anything about the original Face of Death, and there's going to be people who are like, I didn't even know there was an original Face of Death, but in the 80s, an infamous movie.
And at which point I'm kind of envious and almost maybe keep it that way. But yeah, so.
Wait, what?
Eric, explain. I'm just saying, like, if you never saw Faces of Death, you're probably better off as an adult right now.
Yes.
But Eric, let people know what Faces of Death meant to our generation and VHS rentals.
To our generation who were growing up, surrounded by VHS and seeing, if you're like Matt and I, and a lot of people of our generation who watched a lot of horror movies that way. But that Face of Death was the infamous one. Face of Death is the, you're like, dare you watch Faces of Death? Because Faces of Death, what you'll be told is, when you're a kid in the 80s, that's where it's all real deaths. They show you real people dying.
It's basically a snuff film of like joined together real death footage, right?
Yes.
Like, it's not like a snuff film where they actually killing an innocent victim on camera, but like you're going to watch real death.
Yes, this is like documentary footage of real people dying, news footage of people dying, and that was the allure, the sick allure, Face of Death, and that it came out in '78, but its heyday was really the '80s because of the VHS era. Right, yes, yeah. There were sequels, by the way, that were more collections. So the thing about Face of Death is that eventually it turns out it was faked. That I guess it's a mixture in the movie because there is footage that's real, which is to say,
I was going to say it wasn't all faked.
It wasn't all fake. There was stuff that was like Holocaust footage and stuff people had shot in the past. But a lot of the stuff that was like the most sensationalistic, like here's a ritualistic killing that we've, that was all fake. Like some of the most memorable moments were the faked ones. The guy introducing it all, who's like, I'm Dr. So-and-so and I'm an expert on death. He was an actor. It was for all intents and purposes, it was fake. Anyway, so which is to say, when hearing there's a remake, it's like, how would you even do it? Why would you do it? Like, what would be the angle? And I thought the angle they came up with was really clever. I didn't realize when I went to go see this that it was the filmmakers behind a movie you really liked, Cam, from a few years ago, which was on Netflix. No longer. Right now it's nowhere. Which
I think
sucks.
You recommended Cam.
I did.
Because wasn't it during almost sort of the pandemic era?
Well, it debuted a couple years before, but I might have watched it at the top of that. Yeah. Director Daniel Goldhaber, but he writes alongside Issa Maze, and they actually kind of credit them as like the filmmakers together, a real partnership. And though I thought the end of this movie was a clever end from the start, which is that it's about Barbie Ferreira from Euphoria playing a woman who works for a social media site like TikTok, who has to do content moderation, watch horrible videos and decide whether they stay on the site or not. Do they cross the line that we have to, take them down or not? and if it's depicting a real murder, and her seeing a series of elaborate deathsy things that at first she thinks are totally fake, but then she's like, is this real? And is starting to become concerned about that. And I just thought, A, that was a clever conceit anyway, of like, oh, it's like the idea of, are we watching something that's real or not? So it's the idea of face to death, and it's modern day, and it's also the internet, which the whole thing of like, you might see someone die at any moment, whether you want to or not. Someone might be like, hey, here's a video. President Trump this week, I read on True Social, posted a video of someone being killed with one of his horrible posts to be like, look at this, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I thought that was a great way to do it. There's an extra added layer. It's in the trailer, so I think I can talk about it, which is that in this movie, Faces of Death is a movie. And so they talk about it, and there is a very meta layer to it all. Anyway, I thought it all was really clever, really fun. The killer, who is not, it's not a whodunit. We know from the very beginning who the killer is played by Doc Ray Montgomery from Stranger Things, played Max's brother in season 2 and 3. Billy, I think. Anyway, it's really fun. It's a clever take on it. It's a clever way to do Faces of Death. There's a couple of dumb people, not dumb people. There's a couple of don't do that dumb thing, otherwise smart character horror movie moments. But
Sure,
overall, overall, I really enjoyed it. And I will say that while I don't think the movie, there's a couple lines that feel very Scream. The movie overall, I don't think is very Scream in that it's about something different but adjacent. But I will say, I did think ultimately, I'm like, hey, as far as actually tying into like modern pop culture and making a statement, this had way better success at that than Scream 7. Like this was like, oh, this is, and I see other people are saying this is the good Scream movie this year, and I see why they're saying that, because this does seem to like have a point of view, which was our big complaint about Scream 7. Like it had a specific perspective, and these filmmakers, it made so much sense when I learned they made Cam, which was about cam girls and identity and whatnot and identity theft, that they like to kind of take this lens to our modern life. So anyway, Face of Death. I'll do a much quicker recommendation because I just said so much about that for next week for Normal, which I just saw last night.
Oh, Bob Odenkirk. Yeah.
Bob
and
Odenkirk.
Tell me, I want to know, just as somebody who is interested in Normal, but also want to know how much it differs from something like Nobody, as far as like unassuming Bob Odenkirk kicks ass.
It's the basic what you just said, but it's the difference. How do I say this? The funny thing in this is, he's a interim small town sheriff sent to this tiny town that's really hiding a secret, and that there's really something, an underbelly to this town that he's going to get caught up in. Nobody is that he is actually like a highly trained assassin, right? It's like, oh, he taken on this identity of this highly trained assassin. In Normal, he's a lifelong sheriff who's like worked in, as a policeman his whole life. They don't over explain it, which is to say he's really good at shooting and fighting, but
it's just he's sort of like John McClane in a way, which is like he's a cop, like he's an experienced cop.
That's a great way of saying it. He's not like Schwarzenegger Commando or John Wick. Nobody was him. Like, what if Bob Odenkirk was secretly John Wick? This is more like a John McClane. Like, oh, if it's time to fight, he can handle himself. There's no dialogue about it. There's no like, I was special forces. And he's just being Bob Odenkirk. And I really like Nobody, not the sequel as much, but I might have liked this.
Nobody's great.
Yeah. But I thought same, and we should say same writer as the Nobody movies and the first 3 John Wick movies, Derek Kolstad. So he's got a niche.
So there is sort of a connecting DNA for all of this.
There absolutely
for the
is.
Odenkirk action verse. Yes.
Who Trish has now proclaimed is her favorite action star after last night. And,
what I'll say is that I like that he, obviously this guy has big roots in comedy, then turned to drama, and now it's like, I'm doing all of it. I'm doing my action movies too.
Yes, and Henry Winkler's in it, and Wednesday's own Lena
Headey, yes,
is in it. Anyway, I quite enjoyed it, and it will be in theaters next weekend when we are not newsing and using on April 17th.
There you go, and I recommend nada. Just jack shit, because I haven't seen anything.
Okay. So, all right, good. I had two.
Yeah. So it's good that you did too, because you make up for my lack of anything. I mean, I like Marvel Rivals still.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Keep liking
That's still good. Like I'm still watching my stories. I already recommended Rooster. I'm watching my my Paradise and my Rooster. Oh, Rooster got renewed.
Rooster got
Say that.
renewed. Yeah,
Got
roosted.
roosted. We can't. No, neither of us could make it work. So
we try.
yeah, finished the Paradise, the Pits ending, Daredevil. You know, I got my weeklies. So, but yeah, I haven't been out to the theater as much. All right. So yeah, in 2 weeks from now, we'll get back to you with hopefully some scintillating entertainment news. But until then, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shakma.
Shakma.
Shakma!